it's literally almost 4:20. The new Afro-Cuban electro beat hit entitled Let's Look at This a Different Way by none other than myself and I, the imaginary team of DJ Zed and Purple Motion and Political Outrage. And one of these days I'll drop that direct so you can just chill out and listen to that whole track on your own. But for now, hello and welcome to the show, friends. I am pleased that you're here, tuning in, ready and willing to go on a journey with me of questioning and searching and seeking and contemplating things. Happy 420. In 2 minutes or a minute and a half. Thank you for tuning in. It's a wild and wacky, rainy spring day. Thursday, March 19th. And I am pleased to report that I survived that crazy last week. I can mark myself safe on my podcast and all subsequent social media posts that flow from it. Mark myself safe from Mercury retrograde, full moon, conspiracy theory, blizzard, coronavirus attack. What was the other thing? There was like 2 or 3 other wacky things. Ides of March. President's Day. Was President's Day in there for some reason? No, there was some other. What was the holiday? St. Patrick's Day. Fortnight of Chaos. And I say Fortnite, not referencing the video game, but for all those a little bit more wizened than those indoctrinated on video games, the time span of week, like the 2 week, a little bit more than 2 weeks, however many 11 days in a fortnight. Who knows the answer to that? Riddle me this, Batman. How many nights in a fortnight? I knew the answer and then promptly forgot. But I knew because of Shakespeare and reading of the Shakespeare things. Speaking of which, I am digging through some stored, as in, I threw them into storage boxes of mine and finding all kinds of old books that I have loved and carefully hoarded throughout my many transitions in life. And I'm excited that a couple of them are actually interestingly focused on Shakespeare. There's one, I think it's still downstairs in the garage, because I have to clean it, dust it off before I bring it up here, or else it's just adding to the grit that's piling up everywhere. And I look forward to sharing, maybe doing a couple of special Shakespeare-oriented episodes of the first original, foremost spin-off of the Almost Daily Zencast, which you may or may not have already heard of or listened to, which you can find on my Sprecher page by going to the tab that says shows instead of episodes. And then you'll see that I have more than one show. Even though this show is a show of many shows, there's a bit that I've already done. It's in the can, it's recorded, and it's there. It's chilling. It's waiting for you to listen to it. I don't think that telling you, dear audience, about that violates the the EULA, but I could see, the paranoid mind in me could see how some might argue that it technically could be dangerously close. I digress. That's neither here nor there. That's only there as a special treat for those who really listened to the entire EULA three-parter series. Today on the Almost Daily Zencast presents Cannabis Talk. I really had no plan, no agenda. It was just finally, literally 4-something o'clock in the afternoon, and not later than 4:20 already. And I could throw on the podcast platform and rock out an episode that lingered. It's now 4:22. Ding! Where's my bell? It's way over there. I still won't ring it for the show because it's way over there and I can't reach it, and I don't want to get up. Because I'm here and I'm committed. I'm committed to talking to you, dear audience, which is really, really weirdly all about staring at the built-in mic activity meter, whatever that is, whatever the correct technical term for that might be. But, on the bottom of the thing that the Sprecher app, does, it's got a little meter. And it's going up and down. And when I'm talking to you, I'm just watching the meter. And then I zen out on doing that, and I almost lose track of what I'm actually saying, to the point which that some days I literally hit stop and I'm I don't know what I said, man. And that can happen on days where I haven't even smoked any weed, yo. But today I'm here, and yes, I have been smoking weed, which hopefully is not somehow irrationally illegal in some other person's state. It's legal for me to do now, right? And I can't imagine. That was the thing where it's you can't do anything that might be. I'm But anyways, let's not worry about it, right? We're here. There's freedom of speech, and the internet is the freedom of speech zone, right? That's what it was. That it was supposed to be, so that we could all spew our freedom of speech on the internet and not at each other in the face. And then we can, choose what echo chambers, and look where it's gotten us. But boom, that came out of nowhere. Sorry, that's called social criticism farce, or what's it called? There's a word there. It's a word. It doesn't want to come out right. I almost said sobriety, which is neither the word sobriety nor the word I'm actually trying to say. But lampooning, making, the delightful social criticism that is the job, nay, the moral responsibility of performance artists, of artists at large. Novelists should be writing novels about what's going on in the world right now. In fact, arguably, I'm trying to do that. I'm just caught up in too many other weird things, like reorganizing my entire life after too many layers of weird things impacting it, etc. And making excuses for myself, of course. And doing this podcast just for you, folks. Just for you. It's a labor of love, which, as of yet, is not paying the bills. But someday, the dream is someday. And as that, I've been given some pro tips. And one pro tip is you're making your own music, start using it more interspersedly so that the audience doesn't get sentence run on multi-clause paragraph burnout of you rambling. And to that end, folks, I'm going to drop for you right now the second half of what I'm calling Let's Look at This a Different Way. It's me and one of my other alter egos, DJ Zed, a robot DJ from the future, sent here to warn you about the robot DJs of the future. In the future, all the robot DJs suck. I'm the only good one. Believe that now. Get on board. Make me famous now so that in the future, all the robot DJs don't even try. And we don't have this, there's just this jungle of terrible, uninspired, repetitive, super, like, imagine a robot trying to be nuanced about electronic beepy boopy beepy boppy noise. It gets tedious, but I digress. Here's a little, it's because I'm still a little bit human. Here's a little bit of that Afro, electro, danso, rhythmic mojo that I bring so bro ho. That didn't make any sense. I was trying to make a weird, but I'm not good at that. But just listen to this music that I made. And tell me that because you probably will. It's fine. Please forgive my disclaimer. Episode 42. And we're back. That's DJ Zed with Let's Look at This a Different Way. Electronic music, produced using electronic music producing things, etc., etc. All legal disclaimers apply here. Please join me in contemplating the following what if sequence. During this current national emergency, we got everybody we know that's stressed out about this COVID-19 shitstorm, especially the ones that are tripping balls about the cacophony of crazy, clusterfucky, fucking self-contradictory, obviously engineered psyop designed to just create anxiety and fear, and not probably true, at least not 100%. It can't all be true, you guys, was my point with that other episode yesterday, right? In case you missed it. Thought I'd point it out right there. And so, like, let's all rally and, like, smoke a blunt with these friends of ours and sit them down and, like, get them to do a little bit of, like, mental health keeping check-in yoga and be like, bro, like, relax. There's no need to fall hook, line, and sinker for all of this echo chamber emergency craziness. Yes, take precautions. Yes, watch out. There's some new, slightly more dangerous flu. It's not, no disrespect, etc., etc. All I've already talked about it. But, like, let's have that conversation with our friends. Those of us who kind of, like, agree and feel the same about the net, like, meta picture. Like, don't get caught up in any of the rabbit holes. Step back. Step back and look at all the rabbit holes. And step back and look at the pattern of rabbit holes. We need to... Ding, ding, ding. It was just 14:14. We need to take a deep breath, a deep, healthy, clean breath of clean air. Side note, put a pin in this. We got to do an extra special deep dive in a future episode if I can remember to do this. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups kind of. Okay, I think I got it, worked it out. But put a pin in this. According to some outlets reporting some journalistic coverage of satellite imagery analysis being done by certain sources, it looks as if, and I say that all because, like, I don't have any articles, I don't even have my main screen on. I was really impromptu about this episode. I just jumped on. So, but I've seen a thing floating around in the last 48 hours, in the last 24 hours, of satellite imagery indicating that pollution in big, super polluting countries like, everywhere, is slightly going down because everyone's staying in, no one's driving their cars everywhere, no one's, and that like visibly the shithole pile of toxic waste that floats up in nearly invisibly in the air, that we only sort of jokingly, satirically, ironically, what's that other word I'm looking for? Irrationally, that one fits, but it's not the right word. Call smog, but like all that shit, all that gnarly shit. 7 million people a year, 500,000 deaths a month attributable to air pollution, not some germ, air pollution. Like all that shit is like not in the air right now because people are basically chilling out. We, the cannabis enthusiasts in the world, dare I say it, we should rally to sit and powwow with our open-minded friends that maybe only smoke it casually and are feeling a little edgy and just it hasn't occurred to them that it would super be relaxing and help them ground, connect, and chill themselves out. Because it doesn't do things to you. It connects you to yourself more deeply so you can do things that your body knows how to do. And one of those things is like exercise your imagination so that that's like not all wound up and pent up like a little, like an inner child that's been locked up in a closet for 5 months or whatever, and so that you're connected to the things that you can connect to, whatever they are, symbolically and realistically. Like phenomenologically, something happens, folks. Neurobiology and electrophysiology, morphology seems to indicate gears are shifted when humans consciously practice meditation. And then it seems to, reporting from personal experience and realizing that others might be doing similar type research or investigations in a more formal fashion, and that I think that there's some writing about this out there, and there are plenty of entheogenicists, real or self-described, self-appointed, that would argue and that would encourage you to be like, now would be a good time to smoke weed, not to get away, not as an escapist, bury the pain, don't take it like you take a Tylenol. Because remember, friends, friendly reminder, forgive the redundancy, but cannabis responds to your conscious intent. Dun, dun, dun. I need that as an effect. I used to be into sound design stuff for live theater, and I would do some rudimentary sound design work for free shows at community theaters, and was something I always really wanted, just to get a really good piano take. It doesn't have to be an organ. In fact, I think it would sound kind of cool in a regular contemporary piano, and I've got one sitting at my disposal, and a friend who could play it, and I just haven't never make it happen. But like that classic old-timey from like black and white movies, dun dun dun, sort of chord progression of mysterious music. Yeah, wish I had that and I can plug it right here and be like push play instead of this whatever just played. Oh, nothing played. Anyways, it looks like it's got the icon of like you've set one up. My effects are all jacked. I better clean that up, clear them out. Anyways, I'm distracted. What was I talking about? Yeah, stuff. Oh, right. Now is the time to please remain calm, as I titled the previous episode, and self-radicalize through meditation, maybe even through meditation and cannabis and yoga and healthy eating. Dare we say it? And I know that the food lawn food movement has been ramping up for years now. If nothing else, right now might be that like historic alignment, tipping point moment where a plurality of people in the world, let alone in Trumptopia, let alone North America, but in the world, just realize that they've been severely disconnected from something that would benefit them to be much more entrenched in that it's messy and that it's hard work and that even, a little bit risky / dangerous. I've hurt myself before in my very half-assed attempts to tackle the act of teaching myself how to garden for the purposes of food gardening. And so, we haven't been doing it, but in this time of lull, in this time of peak sedentary, stay at home, following all the safe and uplifting suggestions to like not lock yourself in. People should be going out and doing stuff, just not in huge groups, etc. We're trying to thread some half-assed Trumpopian middle ground here on this response. But I digress. My point is that let's take this opportunity while we're stuck at home, waiting for our "it isn't socialism" Trumpopian socialism checks. I'm sorry, but like, can we pause and laugh at that for a hot minute? I mean, for reals, I'm gonna hit this bowl, and we're gonna listen to this other piece of music that I made, and we're gonna laugh at the fact that Trump is sending us money, and it's not socialism. Isn't that insane? Like, who would have thought that, I mean, just days ago, weeks ago, they were denouncing the extremist left for wanting to elect socialists like Yang and Sanders. And now Trump is ready to give everybody up to, I do believe, according to, as I quote from memory, a Fox News article I read late last night or too stupid early this morning, or maybe in the same time window yesterday. I forget which. Maybe up to and including $4,000. Now, I don't know that I would qualify as a robot from the future, made in Mexico, in the future of it's a different future, but than this one. But it's a whole complicated. Read the books. That's why the books are being slowly leaked onto Wattpad, is so that I don't have to explain it every time it comes up. And there's like secret agents and stuff, and that's just to keep it exciting and appealing to the James Bond crowd, which is basically my movie-going audience. My books are hopefully going to be the next Harry Potter for people who love James Bond and need and want some futuristic other new James Bond type thing that isn't James Bond to flirt with on the side whenever James Bond stuff finally stops or takes a little break, because who knows, James Bond might go on forever as like the original movie franchise, right? It's the original movie of forever movies. Like, they've never stopped from whenever they made the first James Bond movie till now. They've almost never stopped. They've taken long ass breaks and said, we're just gonna wait for an excuse to remake one. But they've never ever stopped. Isn't that trippy? It's bizarre. I want to do that. I want to be like the Harry Potter. By that I mean also sort of appealing to younger folks because of its overarching message, not because it's not James Bondy, but it's also sort of, it's more an homage to this other thing that I can't remember the name of right now that makes fun of everything, taking it another level. Venture Brothers. Like, Venture Brothers spoofs Hanna-Barbera cartoons and generally sort of like adventure cartoons in general. And I'm spoofing everything with, I think, like the world. With this, vision of Trumptopia and a superhero that's trying to, as I put it to someone off, like I wasn't rolling tape. I was having this great conversation, and this happens to me all the time. I'll be somewhere, some boring, simple, mundane place, and I'll strike up a conversation with someone, and they'll ask me what I really think, and I'll be like, well, and I'll launch into something that I really think. And it'll be in public, in line with other people, whatever. Like, there's two things that you can't stop me from doing, no matter where we are in the world, and that's, one is dancing, like just not really dancing, but like wiggling like I'm at some, lazy man's discotheque. If there's a groovy beat, even if it's a piece of trash music, even if it's elevator music, just like I think what I do, what I create as the character, as the persona A DJ Zed, I don't think it's brilliant music, right? Like, and I don't even know I have the right to call it my own music. I'm just producing pre-recorded loopity loops in my own weird loopity loop way. And I'm experimenting with trying to do it and then double down and mash it up and make it different things well, we'll see. You'll see. This is like, I'm still just kind of working my fundamentals so that I can get past the theoretical retro history of the early years and get into my really eccentric experimental phase, which I haven't quite gotten to yet, folks. So hang tight, buckle in. There's more weird sounds and words to come at you in the not too distant future. So, stay with us, because especially now, during these weird, slightly stressful, ever so probably going to get weirder and more stressful and darker before it gets better, especially if you bought too much toilet paper and not enough other stuff. Because if that's happening to you, you've just asked for it. You've asked for, problemas.
Hey. You. Hi there. It's 4:19. Do you have a minute? Good. Then let's pack a bowl. 'Cause it's time for Cannabis Talk, a special 420 themed segment of the Almost Daily Zencast, hosted by spiritual cannabis mystic, the incorrigible Mr. Zappa. Let's get lit, folks. Yeah.
When Lord Xeris was here the other day, he asked me like, why do you play that song all the way through at the beginning of Cannabis Talk? I'm like, it's a historical song. And he's like, yeah, but you should really just play while you're introducing the show and then stop. And he talked about, he launched into a story and he went on for a bit, and I didn't mean to disrespect. And he was also like preoccupied, like as he was sort of narrating the process of getting into his full suit of armor that he gets into to give the interview. He's serious. He's committed. Like, I'm role playing my literary like anti-hero, he is his own worst enemy, super fool character for you when I do my podcast, right? Mostly in part because in the books, they reference the podcast a lot. And I want people who are reading the books who are like, oh, I'm curious, listen to what the podcasts are about. Come over and check this out. It all kind of sort of can flow together to a certain degree, right? It's all, I guess you could say, a big gimmick. Well, Lord Xeris, I'm serious, man. Like, if you hired him for I'm fairly certain that if you hired him for a public speaking event, he would show up in his full suit of armor. Like once he's making money, he'll show up getting driven in a car amply situated. He won't care about the gas it takes. I know this dude fairly well. And I say that understanding that we never know anybody, right? Like, even people who I've known people who looked me in the eye and told me, quote, I know you better than you know yourself. And based on their own behavior and actions, I've known that was categorically untrue. But I digress. To the best of my ability to say that I know the mad genius behind Lord Xeris, I can say that I fairly think I know him. And then if the moment and the presentation, the opportunity and the resources presented themselves, he would indeed ride in full functioning, ready to go into battle for the society of whatever his society is called. Forgive me, I don't remember, and I don't have my notes. I didn't take notes in front of me. If him and his buddies, the way he does, and just be in the whole, he would do that and show up to the Oscars and do a red carpet interview. This is Lord Xeris interviewing for, let's say somebody hired him. If you hired him to do a public speaking event and show up at a thing and hold a microphone and talk to your executives, he'd show up in his full suit of armor. That is the bit. And I do not mean that dismissively. I mean that that's what his whole like vision is contingent on and like anchored in and quite beautifully about in a weird, funny way. And it's disarming. I hate to say it. It's cliche and punny, but it really is disarming. I was a mess that day. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. You'll get there. The interview's just a few episodes down in the past. Future episodes are up in the future. If you ever see like a grayed out episode at the very top of the list, it's because I scheduled it for whatever reason, like a few days ahead, because I already had like produced it. I'll do that on occasion. And in theory, I'll be doing that a lot more in general, and like a mix of live recordings like I am doing right now at 4:52 p.m. Thursday, March 19th, and pre-recorded slightly more designed and engineered stuff, because this is theater of the mind. This is audio performance art, melodrama, and that second track, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, because the bummer I can't hold one audio track paused and in the middle where I paused it at and play a second one to come back to the paused audio one. So now I don't, it's like it gets deselected, right? And its progress gets cleared. So now, but I think it was this one, 100 years ago, looking back. That's the name of the track that was playing before I played the intro to Cannabis Talk. Here we are, friends. It's the end of the world as we know it, and we feel fine. Things are getting weirder, and I have to admit, and I don't want to be lumped into the group of people that didn't take this seriously enough. I want to be clear. For the record, I, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, entheogenic cannabis mystic, social performance artist, commentary, spoof parody fool, and fictional character, have always tried to split the difference in I guess too much of a similar way to Trump himself, which kind of bums me out. But that's neither here nor there. I believe in taking precautions. I also do not believe in being a paranoid germaphobe that then gets irrational and or potentially violent. Right? So, for clarity, that's where I've always been about this. And I've got a lot of commentary and a lot of critique about where things have and have not been executed well. But, everybody knows what, well, I guess it never hurts to review. But I've been rambling on long enough. And I'm not supposed to smoke weed and talk. So pro tip, friends, for all of you who are above the legal age required to then consume cannabis medicinally or recreationally, varies by state, which is why I phrase it that way. Pro tip, friends who are cannabis enthusiasts, as cool as it would seem to be able to like hit the thing, bong, piece, pipe, joint, pre-rolled, blunt, whatever, and then chit-chat at your friends as you're blowing smoke like they used to do in the movies with cigarettes, it's so much harder and worse for your throat and your vocal cords and your voice than cigarettes were for some reason. At least it has been for me, especially when I've been doing it like I've been doing it today. So, like, social distancing, not about... Also, yeah, like, wipe down your pieces, friends. In this time of germophobic, paranoid alarmism, do take precautions. A little bit of sandy wipe, or I love something that hopefully there isn't, knock on wood, isn't going to be, hasn't been, and it won't be having a run on, but plain old regular little, like alcohol prep wipes. The kind of little cotton swabby wipey thing that like a nurse would swab your arm with right before she stabs you with a needle for something. Bless their hearts when they stab you like that. But instead of let's not go down the rabbit hole of pro-vaxxer, anti-vaxxer. Those little wipey bits are great for cleaning cannabis consumption paraphernalia, because most of it's either glass or wood or metal. And also, don't smoke so much out of metal. Sounds like a good idea. It's not a good idea. And people argue some metal is bad, other metal is good, blah, blah, blah. Just smoke out of glass or wood. It's probably the bestest thing. And that includes like metal screens and metal squibby bits that like go in the glass to keep it. Just don't put metal in your weed. Because especially, you never know. If you're your average Joe Schmo walking down the street, can you tell the difference between this kind of metal and that kind of metal and this sort of aluminum and that kind of aluminum? No. So why risk it? Just smoke out of glass. And actually, glass, if there's any glass blowers out there, please, oh, please, as you're moving forward with your business, try to avoid using metal paints. I know that cool, groovy, glittery, sparkly is in, but like the healthier and the less toxic our glass pieces are, the better our health will be in trying to engage medicinally with this this facilitator of health that we call cannabis or weed or pot. Because legit, man, like the better weed, no, the better that we all as a community respect it and treat it and address it consciously with this like idea of respect and not doing things toxic, the better it is for us. Okay, I rambled on long enough. It's been an honor knowing that you are tuning in and letting me into your mind space with my voice and words and spiral thinking. And I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you stay safe and sane and healthy. And during this time of national/international/global quote emergency, I don't mean any disrespect. I just think that there's a lot of like upward hype on it. That we can indeed remain calm and self-radicalize for peace and healing. Oh, and I don't remember what song I wanted to play on the out. Let's go with this one. Street Grunge Funk South Bay Boys. I don't remember why I titled it that, but here it is. DJ Zed. Street Grunge Funk South Bay Street, not Bay Street Boys, South Bay Boys. I don't know. This has been another episode of Cannabis Talk, hosted by the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, a special segment of the Almost Daily Zencast, produced by the Multiverse Guild, a special subdivision of the Collaborative Theater Artists Group Studio. I'm your host, your humble performance artist, esoteric mystic, and slightly weird guy on the podcast wavelengths, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo.